Hi everyone, it's great to be back speaking to you with yet another Wine Steward video of the week coming at you. The holidays are approaching and I'm bound and determined to celebrate them, aren't you? I think we all deserve to, and we're going to find our ways to creatively do that, aren't we? The Wine Steward wants to help. In the meantime, let's just tell you that we do in fact get to say hello to you in person, a few of you at least at a time, by coming outside to greet you at the tables that we've have just heard that we get to keep them out there for a while. Now, of course, Mother Nature might have a say in this starting now because the weather's changing and you'll have to bundle up a little bit, but we are so glad to say that we are going to continue to have outside service. You can come and have a glass of wine or come inside the store and choose a beautiful bottle. Come in with a mask on. You can do this. It's fine. We've been open all this time because we are very essential, as you have deemed us. And we're grateful to be able to keep providing you with good wine and now to pour a good glass of wine for you outside. So just letting you know we're going to keep doing that even though the street closures are over now. So we've already seen the last weekend go by of them closing the street for the weekend. So that's good news for those of you who want to do that curbside way of shopping with the Wine Steward. Go on to thewinesteward.com and put in your order and then give us a call when you're nearby saying, hey, I'm coming to the curb. And now you can actually do that on the weekend, come to the curb instead of having to go to the back door. Either way, give us a call. You can still do it at the back door or in the front of the store now, just letting you know. So things are getting a little more convenient that way. Come have a glass of wine out front. It's going to be fun. Who knows what I'm going to put on the menu for this weekend, but we'll figure it out. In the meantime, the most important thing I can do as a father is to let you know that our daughter is just killing it with baked goods. If you don't know this yet, you need to. And her website is posted right here, bloomsend.com. It's blooms-end.com. You got to go on there, and I recommend you do it sooner than later and see what this style of baked goodies is all about. There are those of us who are trained up on, let's say, what happens at Costco and like that style of food and baked goods, and the pumpkin pie at Costco will just work for you. This is artisanal. It has actually a strong resemblance to a lot of the wines we like to carry. Certainly some of the wines we have at the Wine Steward, I won't say they pander, but they take care of that customer who just wants big, juicy, yummy, obvious, even slightly sweetened fruit. And that's fine. If you want that kind of wine, I've got a few things like that downstairs for you. But what we far more like to talk about is the wines that are, I don't know, to say something vague and to say it again, artisanal. Wines that are made in small production and aren't screwed around with all that much. They have a stronger sense of place, of source. That is in fact reflected in the baked goods of Mary Denham at bloomsend.com. You'll get that idea right away if you go onto her website, and you need to get on there soon and put in your pre-Thanksgiving order so that, let's have a little fan here or a drum roll. We are chosen as the place, the Wednesday right before Thanksgiving, as the place where you can pick up your holiday desserts. And you gotta, like, what I gotta do, I gotta read this email so I don't screw this up. This is one thing I can't botch, right? Yeah, good morning. Have you filmed your Thursday video? I have my Thanksgiving pre-orders up on my site and would love a plug in your video. Happy to. Kind of have to, but I'm also happy to. Very proud of this woman. Pick up at the Wine Steward Wednesday before Thanksgiving. Go to bloomsend.com, click the Thanksgiving pre-orders in the navigation bar on that website, and you'll see things like a pumpkin pie, an apple pie, a pecan pie, done with care and some unique but approachable flavors. I can tell you that whether it's not she, because she spent 2 years up at the Culinary Institute of America, or because she's just a brainy, beautiful young woman, she has the ability as a baker to create her own amazing recipes. You have nailed it in that profession once you can do that, because as many of you know, baking is such a science compared to cooking, and you have to get proportions right and flavors right, otherwise it all goes to hell. What she is making is personally artistic and delicious and authentic, and very much like the artisanal wines that we sell here at the Wine Steward. You're going to love what she does. At any rate, pre-orders close on Sunday, 11/22, or when she sells out. She will probably sell out before that Sunday. The whole point is, get on that website and put in your orders now. Make sure you get in on some of this wonderful stuff that she's going to be baking up for your Thanksgiving. You can come in on that Wednesday before Thanksgiving, pick up her pie or whatever you've chosen, and then also get some great wine. So we'll both take care of you. How about that? All you have to do is do the turkey, and everything on the extremes is already done for you by the wine steward and bloomsend.com. All right, we've got that part out. Let's move on. Let's talk about what I'm a little bit better at. Leaving the baking to her, she can leave the wine to me. I'd like to tell you about some new beautiful things that we've just brought in. And yeah, we could call this new because in fact it does sport a brand new and very beautiful label design. I think it's a vast improvement on what this bottle used to look like, but we actually have not seen this wine in our store for about a year and a half now, and it's very good to have it back. I'm so pleased. I want to celebrate. So why don't I pour some of this while I tell you about Delma Blanquette de Limoux. So Delma is simply the name of the proprietor. That's the brand name, if you will. Blanquette de Limoux is more interesting to talk about. Blanquette is the name of the grape, but it's slightly better known as, but still not very well known as, Mauzac. So Blanquette de Limoux is made with Blanquette or Mauzac, and it's from Limoux. Where the hell is Limoux? Limoux is down somewhat near Carcassonne in the southwest part of France. It's not a household term. We don't know this place very well. We certainly don't know Mauzac very well, so all of these things might have you running away. What should have you coming back is our endorsement, our telling you that this is delicious wine, and what should give you courage as well is that this wine is inexpensive. And I think you wine club members are going to get this down to around perhaps $15. And all you have to do is punch in your discount code on the website, theWineSteward.com, if you're going to order wine that way, or come right in, and when we put your name in the system, it recognizes you as one of our hundreds and hundreds of happy wine club members. And it says, do you want to give this person a discount? And we say, yeah, what the hell? Let's give them a thank you for their membership. And then you're going to get this down to around $15. So I've talked all about pricing. I've told you where it's from, what it's made of. Blanquette de Limoux. It has to be 90% Mauzac. And the rest of it can be Chardonnay or Chenin Blanc. In this case, I believe it's 10% Chardonnay, 90% Mauzac. And Blanquette de Limoux has that strict rule because they want to maintain some kind of regional notoriety. What they also make in this region is a sparkling wine called Cremant de Limoux. We've talked a lot about Cremants. I think there's 10 different Cremant regions in Luxembourg, but especially in France. And so you have Cremant de Loire, Cremant d'Alsace, and so on. But Cremant de Limoux doesn't have those same restrictions about having so much Mauzac or any Mauzac in it. So this is cool. This is totally regional. This is a wine that they are proud to make. And these people are proud about sparkling wine. In fact, they believe that they, and not Champagne, came up with the concept of bottled sparkling wine. Actually, did you know that all wine is actually sparkling wine at some point in its life, especially early on? Then the decision is made to make still wine or sparkling wine. Well, here, sparkling wine has been known about and perfected for centuries, and Limoux ought to be known more. I think it's pretty easy to know about it based on the nice little price, but let's just speak to the wine itself. A lot of people say they get apples. I get apple crate myself. I've opened a lot of apple boxes in my life, in my former career, and this is just like opening a box of apples, and you get this rush of ever so slightly musty, like apples that have been in cold storage, but then it's fresh after that. It's a nice change. That's happening. Wow. Beautiful texture. It's bone dry, and it has a very nice fluffy bubble attack. Attack sounds scary, but there's nothing scary about this wine. Just the weird names, which I hope I've properly explained. This wine is so dry, it behaves nearly like cava from Spain, and we're not too far from Spain, are we, as a matter of fact? And therefore, what do I do with cava? Same thing with this. Serve it with appetizers, especially appetizers that might include smoked salmon. I think would be great. All kinds of cheeses, creamy cheeses would do well here. It's back, and it's a much prettier label. It belongs at your Thanksgiving holiday, I think. Let me tell you about a distinctively amazing, profound white wine that I can't shut up about. This wine comes from the Loire Valley. We carry this producer's Cremant de Loire. That's his sparkling wine made of 100% Chenin Blanc. This is his more serious, dry wine with no bubbles, and it comes from the region of Savigny. Savigny, I believe, is the most significant, important, profound source for the Chenin Blanc grape in the entire freaking world. I'm including California, South Africa, in that assessment. Savennier, which is downriver from Saumur and Mont-Louis-sur-Loire and better known Vouvray, is not huge. So it's kind of hard to find these wines. And because their production is not high from that area, the wines are not inexpensive. However, you are buying profundity here. When you go up a little over $30 to access this wine, you don't need to put it in a skinny little glass that is great for bright whites, and that's what I'm usually talking about. You're saying, Jim, you're putting a dry white wine with no oak on it into a bigger glass. This wine deserves it. This wine deserves a bigger... Sorry, there goes the decor. This wine deserves a better stage to make its declaration on, and it does declare. Don't serve it freezing cold. Serve it with a little bit of a warm up, perhaps, and you'll know more about this wine. It's kind of like white Burgundy in its effect, but not like white Burgundy in its actual smell and flavor. What I mean by effect is it's totally dry, but it's got a body, it's got a richness to it, and high acidity, which white Burgundy is amazing at doing. This little lesser known wine called Savennier, so complex. I think if this was white Burgundy with this amount of complexity, it would cost twice as much. So good QPR there, quality to price ratio. This is, you might wonder if it's going to be sweet. It is actually, I've used the word bone dry already, referring to that sparkling wine. This is austerity in dryness here, with a sense of, a bare sense of like, just a little bit of the lemon thing that happens more in Vouvray. This is more austere, like I said. It's more haunting, more mysterious, more of that that wet cave, damp cave that you've just walked into and you're smelling all kinds of things that might be nearly moldy or mushroomy, but the fruit is countering that. Savennier is actually a very, very enduring wine. You can age this for quite a while. We don't talk about aging white wine, but this has both tannins and acidity. And it has such a vertebrae, such great strength of structure that you could probably hold on to this for 10 years. It will become something different, but that difference will be really cool. As long as it has the energy of acidity at that point, that's when you can say this wine remains valid. It's still got life. Life is the acidity, really. You can feel that in a white Burgundy that you've aged for a long time too, if it's a good one. This is a great one. This is not Burgundy, this is Savennier. You deserve, you wine lovers, real wine lovers, you deserve to know about this. It's on the website, it's on the shelf. I have another case coming. Now let's tell you something that's not so freakish, not so weird, something you have heard of. It's called Napa Valley Cabernet. When's the last time I talked up Napa Valley Cabernet? It's been too long. But check out this label, pretty cool. I think you can recognize the landscape there as Yosemite Valley. And I did not buy it because of the label, but it certainly didn't hurt that this is an attractive looking bottle that you wouldn't be ashamed to take to Thanksgiving. If you must drink Cabernet on Thanksgiving, I can promise you that the group will like this wine. The reason why I'm talking about it is because it's under $40 Napa Valley Cabernet that has a very friendly but not false way of saying it's stuff. What I mean by that is so many wines, as I alluded to before, less than artisanal wines that you might see at a grocery store, they are souped up, literally, to accommodate your palate. Those wines are not necessarily made in the vineyard. They are made very much in the winery with all kinds of fancy Willy Wonka everlasting gobstopper machinery doing all of its work to make the wine more appealing for you. And yet a real wine lover, I don't know, I don't mean to demean. I mean to say, come on, think more about your wine. A lover of more artisanal, there's that name again, wine, likes the honesty of dryness. A wine that, unlike some things out there, are not sweetened, yet we like richness too, right? There's absolutely nothing wrong with California's sunshine having its say in a great bottle of Napa Valley Cabernet. California sunshine gives the wine more body, slightly higher alcohol, more richness in the mouthfeel. Let's smell it first. Let's look at it. Look at that beautiful color. It's opaque. You cannot see through this wine. And I'm getting a wonderful mixture of things here. I'm getting blackberry cobbler, which implies sweetness, but balancing that is a dark, dry earth. And then this really nice sense of toffee, almost burnt toffee. Burnt toffee isn't good when you're making candy. Burnt toffee is great when you're smelling it in a Cabernet, I think. Very appealing. More of those flavors, a very comforting palate. The wine is dry, and they play around with residual sugar, I promise you, in mass-produced Cabernets. This is not selling out that way. This is real, it's dry, but it's got enough dark fruit, kind of a cobbler, like I said, fruit, blackberry pie kind of fruit, to offset the grim, dark earthiness. A little bit of coffee, perhaps, or espresso, and then even as I'm talking and jabbering, this flavor just keeps going. I swallowed it, several seconds ago, maybe 20 seconds ago. The flavor, the finish. Some people say, like, a wine shouldn't have a finish. A wine better have a finish. Don't you want to have, at least from a good wine, a great memory? This is the memory happening right now in my mouth of, once again, that toffee, that dark, nearly burnt vanilla quality is just hanging around in a wonderful way, inviting me to another sip. So here I go. I think this is going to make a lot of people happy. It's got broad appeal without being stupid. This is called, I haven't even named it, it's called Bound and Determined Cabernet, Napa Valley, sourced, and it's under 40 bucks. So at least per that wine type, it represents value. Now, this is why I sat down here and why things are falling off the wall, and the meat of this presentation has to do with a 5-pack. This says a 6-pack. Well, we'll speak to that in a minute. Next week, next Tuesday night, we're doing yet another Zoom event. For the first time in probably 10 years, Pete Stolpman, our good friend down in Ballard Canyon of Santa Barbara County, does not have to drive all the way up here, put on a presentation of his fantastic wines, and then drive all the way home the same night. Instead, he gets to enjoy the miracle of Zoom, and he will be with us for about an hour, maybe a little bit over, to tell us about 5 wines. You buy this 5-wine sampler, you don't have to open them all that night, but buy these 5 wines and you will be invited to that Zoom event. And I think, you know, these wines are actually fantastic for Thanksgiving dinner as well. So what do you say? You open, if there's just 2 of you enjoying this Zoom event next Tuesday, open 1 or 2 of them, enjoy those wines, but think ahead on what Pete tells you about all 5 wines and decide what you're going to have at Thanksgiving dinner. Because I do believe each one of these 5 wines has the fruit profile that will accommodate that crazy meal. Think about Thanksgiving. That table laden with all those crazy dishes, you know, Aunt whoever has to bring this and Uncle whoever is baking this, and you've got a lot of conflicting and sometimes even sweet flavors. You need fruit to ride over all of that. That's going to happen with the 5 wines from Pete Stolpman. Let's put this wine up here and tell you that 1 white is going to be in this 5-bottle sampler, and it's their greatest white wine, I believe. It's called l'Avion. It has to do with Roussanne that is planted on what used to be the old airstrip on this property many, many years ago under a former owner. And so it has this little tongue-in-cheek terminology, l'Avion, referring to an airstrip, but now that ground is reserved for one of the Rhone's greatest white wine grapes, Roussanne. And I can tell you this is one of the greatest Roussannes made, not just in California, but in the entire world. Wait till you hear what Pete has to say about how they grow this wine. Yes, great wine is grown. And the way this is grown, painstakingly grown, is pretty amazing. I can't wait for you to hear the story. This wine will nail it with Thanksgiving dinner. It's also a wonderful aging wine. Here, again, like the 7-year I mentioned before, is a white that you can age. In fact, we have some old l'Avion, I think it's, 12 years old, down in our collectible room right now, for those who give a damn about beautiful old Roussanne. By the way, in the greatest Chateauneuf-du-Pape Blancs, what's playing? Usually Roussanne, sometimes 100%. So that's what the Rhone Valley thinks of it. So that's the white wine. Let's see if it'll fit in our box. There we go. Now let's tell you about other wines that will be presented at the Zoom event next Tuesday night. You can find this Zoom pack on our website. I'd rather call it a sampler, really, so I might change the terminology. It doesn't need to be all about the event. This is about getting 5 bottles of wine at a very nice price. If you were to look at the individual retails for these bottles and add them up, the price would come out at quite a bit higher than what we're charging for the 5-pack sampler. So this crazy looking label is in fact different every year because this is La Quadrilla. This is a wine that is made on behalf of and by the crew of the vineyard crew at Stolpman. And It's a all Latino crew. They all come, I think, from Jalisco, Mexico, if I have that right. And they are hardworking. And Pete Stolpman and his dad and family thank them back for their hard work by giving them a wine that actually the profits of this of the sales of this wine go straight to the crew. And they sometimes in some years actually have a hand in like creating the blend. So it's a different blend every year. La Quadrilla, the crew, is a very fun, dark, but very easygoing red wine that usually has what that place does the best with. This is Ballard Canyon of Santa Barbara County, and it's perhaps the only region in the entire world, well, in the entire United States, more devoted to Syrah than to any other grape. So there might be a good amount of Syrah in here, but what Stolpman also does amazingly with is Sangiovese and Grenache and Petit Syrah. And so La Quadrilla reserves the right to be different every year and to exploit all the different great grapes growing on this very special vineyard land in Ballard Canyon, just west of Los Olivos. That's where we are here in Stolpman territory. So La Quadrilla is in your pack. What else? Well, I just mentioned Syrah, so there had better be a Syrah. This is the estate Syrah from Stolpman. Stolpman must make, in a good year, perhaps 4 or 5 different Syrahs. This estate Syrah, I think Jeb Dunnick just awarded it 94 points. It's very decently priced considering the rating. It is freaking delicious. I think you'll want to get your Pinot Noir glass out for this particular one so that you can smell the hell out of it. It's going to be a really nice, round, not overmade wine, but it'll have the beautiful dark color that Syrah is supposed to have. Be very, very fragrant. And it is, in fact, the kind of Syrah without a lot of tannin that would be amazing with the dark meat of turkey. So once again, a Thanksgiving wine. Would you think Syrah can handle it? Would do well at Thanksgiving? Not all Syrahs will, not the big monster ones. This elegant one will do very well at Thanksgiving time. So why don't we put that in the pack? Hey, look what we found. You who have attended Stolpman events in the past have found that they make a kick-ass Sangiovese. I haven't even tasted this vintage yet. I'm buying it blind because of the track record with this grape by these guys. So I can say that the Stolpman thing, the whole project down there is a true labor of love. And that when they went down there and bought this property, they could have torn things out and planted a Cabernet because Cabernet is the best-selling grape in California. But they realized this is not Cabernet country. This is not really a piece of vineyard land and the soil and the climate that's going to accommodate that bestseller. So labor of love. Instead, they're growing grapes and varieties that are a little harder to sell out there without representing them. This is why we put Stolpman in front of you. A, the quality is there, and B, these thoughtful wines and these thoughtful projects like Stolpman need to be addressed by thoughtful places like wine shops. It's not just another Cabernet. Nothing wrong with Cabernet. We'd like to drink something else once in a while. Sangiovese, that's a hard grape to nail in California. Very, very hard. They nail it. They do so well with a grape that is rarely done properly here. So I can't wait to try this new vintage, and I'm sure it's going to be great. Sangiovese, by the way, as long as it's not too acidic, is another great Thanksgiving wine. So think of this as your Thanksgiving sampler, if you will. Finally, a wine I've never seen from Stolpman before. And so this is the debut of Stolpman Mourvèdre. You may know that we're slightly attached to Mourvèdre for all kinds of reasons. We love it from Bandol, France, and from the Rhone Valley. And when they call it Monastrell in Spain, we often like it from there as well. And we've done a wine or two, a house wine for the store that is based on Mourvèdre as well, the Plus de Vie. So we follow this wine around looking for varietal expressions of Mourvèdre, and there aren't that many of them. I'm so glad that Pete has decided to isolate some of his precious little Mourvèdre plot instead of blending it into other things, making a varietal bottling of it. We are barely capturing the last 3 cases of this wine for this event, so can't wait to have it with you. I've already gotten to preview it. I can promise you it's delicious wine. It plays the role very well. There's a great Mourvèdre waiting for you, along with 5 other wines. This is called a 6-pack. We have a problem, Houston. What do we do with this? Well, that's where the food should go. We want to tell you that Pete Seghezio, another Pete in the wine business, Pete and his family up in Sonoma County sold their Seghezio name and brand and winery, gosh, probably 6 or 8 years ago now. I think a very well-known Zinfandel producer has now shed the name, moved on. Now they make very, very good wines called Journeyman. And more importantly to us right now, they make small production sausages and salamis. We are bringing them in. This is the first one we brought in. It's called a finocchione. In other words, it's made with fennel. And fennel is somewhere on the ingredient list. I don't have the reading glasses on, but what I checked out earlier is that first ingredient, pork, locally sourced pork. Second ingredient, the Chardonnay that they make at Journeyman. So it's actually honest to goodness local stuff. And it's delicious. Finocchione, we've tasted their whole line. This is the first one we decided to bring in. And look how beautifully it just fits in there. How about that? Why don't you include this? Because this producer, Stolpman, that emphasizes Rhone varieties, would agree with me that over in the Rhone, one of the most delightful things to have with a Côte de Rhone, a Chateauneuf de Pape, a red wine from the north as well, are cured meats, saucisson, they might call it there. This is basically saucisson from Sonoma County. It's local. It's great. It's now on the website. And I'm just about out of time. I want to thank you for your attention. I know I'm long-winded, but I'm enthusiastic. And there's good wine promoting all that. Thank you for everything you're doing with us. Please consider doing the Zoom event with us next Tuesday night. You get invited to that event by buying this 5-wine sampler with or without the salami. That's an addition. So thanks. And let's see you next Tuesday night, shall we? And we're so grateful that Pete is going to be joining us once again. Some traditions should never die regardless of coronavirus or crazy year 2020. I'm so glad that we're perpetuating this Stolpman thing. So let's see you next Tuesday. Thank you, and look forward to Thanksgiving.